You're watching the Blockchain Interviews, hosted by Dan Weiskopf. Each episode features interviews with leading industry experts so that viewers can have a deeper understanding of today's quickly evolving blockchain marketplace.
Hey guys, thank you very much for joining me in the Blockchain CEO interview series. John, you and I have talked a number of times. We were very excited to see you guys come public. Adam, thrilled to have you here as the innovation officer, rather. That's your title, right? I've got that correct?
Yeah, few hats.
Every entrepreneur has a lot of hats, and especially in the blockchain crypto area. So thrilled to have both of you here. We'll have a definite interesting conversation. And, I'll just say that, Jonathan, let me take a step back, actually, before I continue. Give us your backgrounds. Tell us a little bit about your story, Jonathan and Adam, and then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of things.
Sure. So I'm actually going to have Adam go first, and then I'll hop into my story and then talk a little bit about the connection to Composecure, if that makes sense. Adam?
Sure, absolutely. So I've been with Composecure about 8 years. I've done new product development with them and brought a variety of innovations to the banking and now blockchain and security space. Prior to that, I was a researcher and led a lab at a not-for-profit defense contractor where we helped keep the warfighter safe. And prior to that, I did my PhD at Cornell.
And Dan, I spent a good part of my career on the banking side, Bank of America and JP Morgan. So I led strategy and M&A at B of A for all of their payments-related businesses, did the acquisition that led to Bank of America Merchant Services today, managed the retail banking products for B of A, and then treasury services. Moved over to JP Morgan, where I managed all the retail banking products and also served as the chief marketing officer for the retail bank. So extensive experience in banking and payments. And about 8 years ago, moved into the private equity world. I led a turnaround of a software business in the payroll and HR space, and then connected up with Composecure about 6 years ago. And from my perspective, it was important that I was at JP Morgan at a time when they were launching metal cards. I was in the executive pilots. I got to see firsthand what the metal cards could do to help grow a business, and fell in love with the products. At the time, I had no idea who produced them. So when I met the founders and private equity owners of Composecure about 6 years ago, just great alignment around the vision and the future for the company.
Yeah, when I started doing analysis on your business, I got real excited on the whole concept of kind of like the Intel Inside, the cash cow business, the thing that makes things work. Talk to us a little bit about specifically, the metal card business that you guys have.
Sure. So we've been around for 20 years. We're not a startup. We've essentially created this category from scratch, right? It started back in 2003 with American Express and the Centurion card, the first metal card of any scale or substance in the market. It evolved with JP Morgan, with their private bank card, the Palladium card. And then from there, the business has really evolved and grown as we moved into what we would refer to as the mass affluent market. So think about Chase, Sapphire Preferred and Reserve, Capital One, Venture and Saver, American Express, Gold and Platinum, and a whole number of products. And Dan, from our perspective, what we're trying to do very simply is help our customers acquire more customers, more end customers for them, and drive more spending. And both of those are the lifeblood of a card business, right? You have to continue to acquire new customers, and you want to be top of wallet. And those two things are critical. And what we've seen from our clients is they build great products, exceptional products, great value propositions. And when they bring together the metal card, that form factor with those great value propositions, it can really help lead to great things in their business.
Yeah, I mean, I for one have too many cards, and it's very hard to differentiate the spending sometimes on which card to use. Sometimes you have a business card, sometimes you have a Best Buy card. The point systems, the flights. To me, it's a little bit confusing to tell you the truth, and I just try and keep it to as little as possible, quite honestly. But you guys are at the core of the ecosystem for these cards, right? Talk to us a little bit about that ecosystem. How big is what you do as a marketplace?
So if you think about the payment card market today, there are, we believe, more than 13 billion payment cards in circulation. Last year, we produced 22 million metal cards. So roughly 0.5% penetration. In last year, we think there were roughly 4 billion payment cards issued. So 13 billion in circulation, 4 billion that may have been issued last year. So of cards issued last year, you're talking about roughly 0.5% that were metal. So we still think we have a huge runway with a total addressable market, both in the US and globally, that is huge. And our global story, we think, is a terrific one. When I started a little over 5+ years ago, it was almost nothing in our business, and last year it was roughly $50 million. So we've grown it really nicely in addition to the domestic business.
Yeah. Now you're expanding, right, with the Arculus card. It's right behind you. Obviously I know a lot about the blockchain and about the crypto market in general, but there it's not always clear to a lot of folks, right? Talk to us a little bit about, and maybe Adam, you can chime in on this too, right? Cybersecurity, why that's important. Talk to us a little bit about, why a wallet, cold storage, and why a wallet is important, right? In hot water wallets.
So Dan, let me zoom out for a second before we drill into crypto and the crypto story with Arculus. So think of Arculus from our perspective as a 3-factor authentication solution. Crypto is one of the applications, and we'll dive into it, but also think about just core banking and investments and the ability to lock down your banking account with 3-factor authentication so that no one could get in to your bank account but you. Think about applications in the gaming or gambling space. Think about other fintechs that need better authentication. All of these we think are great examples for where Arculus has applicability. But specifically, the first product that we tapped it for was in the crypto space. And when we think about what's happening there, and you talk about this all the time and in your broadcasts, the growth in this space has been exponential, right? The number of users of crypto, when we started this process, we estimated there were roughly 80 million customers that were using crypto wallets, and the projections had it at 200 million over the next 5 years. Fast forward, there are projections out there that would say we may have reached 200 million already in 10 months, not 5 years. So the growth has been exponential. At the same time, we've seen the amount of hacking and theft and security issues growing exponentially as well. We've seen hacks in exchanges in Turkey. We've seen major exchange customers here that have lost their crypto because their phones have been compromised. We've seen all of those examples. Most customers today store crypto in what we call a hot wallet. And what that means simply is that the exchange controls your private keys to your crypto. with the emergence of the hacking, we've also seen cold storage come about, which very simply means that the customer controls their private keys to their crypto. In the hot wallet example, Dan, if the exchange is hacked, or if your phone is compromised, or if your username and password were to be compromised, your crypto can vanish. In the cold storage solutions, if done right, the customer controls their keys and no one can get access to that. And specifically, how Adam developed and designed the Arculus system was aimed at addressing some of those concerns. And Adam, I'd love for you to go into a little bit more about Arculus and what it's trying to address.
Sure. So Arculus was designed to have the ease of use of a centralized exchange or hot wallet with the security of a self-custodied hardware wallet. So, Arculus uses a three-factor solution. Something you have, which is your Arculus card, which stores your private keys, something which is your PIN, and something you are, which is your biometric. And we'd be happy to show a demo live here.
Yeah, it'd be great.
So this is live on an Android phone. It happens to be Android, but we also support iOS. So here I used biometric, happens to be a fingerprint scanner, to go ahead and open my app. This is live on the mainnet, so this is all real live crypto. So here a user can see all their assets. As an example here, let's say we wanted to send some XRP. I could just scroll down and select XRP. Dan, if you wanted to send me some XRP, I can hit receive. There's a public address. You can scan that and send it. I could also share that with you via Slack, text, email, whatever's convenient. I can also grab a previous transaction, hit repeat transaction, goes ahead and pulls in the address. Now, let's say I want to send $1 of XRP to that address. You can see it has the fee listed and what the total. I can hit next. Now it's gonna ask for my second factor of authentication. So I'm gonna enter in my PIN. This is separate from the phone PIN, so it's unique to the application. And finally, it's gonna ask me for my Arculus card. So I simply tap my Arculus card, which holds my private keys in a secure element, to the back of the phone, signs the transaction, and we're done. So just like that, 1, 2, 3, we sent crypto from cold storage to an address. And if anybody's used, maybe some of your listeners have used other hardware devices, I think they'll know that they'd still be turning the thing on in the amount of time that we're done.
So Dan, we've tried to make it simple and easy to use, extremely secure, and at the same time, we leverage all the things that we're really good at in terms of manufacturing and scale to be able to do this with some really strong synergies with our core business.
I've got one, and to me, this is the up and coming generation, right? I'm trying to be cool with my Arculus credit card. We're not quite there yet. I know it's still just a card, but kind of like, who wouldn't want to whip that one out, right? The card, So I think you're offering a competitive advantage so that some people don't need, so many cards, as I like to say. But you're not just about crypto, right? You're also, thinking about, or have already expanded into NFTs too.
Yes. So, Arculus can already secure your NFTs. So in the sense that if you send an NFT to an Arculus Ethereum address, it would be resident at the address. We have squarely on our roadmap and are in the process of adding a viewer for NFTs. We heard that feedback from the community loud and clear that it's important to them. So we put it to the front of the roadmap, and that will be live soonish.
And you're not the only one doing this. So can we talk a little bit about the competitive landscape as well?
Sure. So there are a number of competitors out there, some that have built, great businesses over time in this space. Ledger is probably the market leader out there in terms of number of units sold, and they help create the market here. So we think Arculus just takes a couple of leaps forward in terms of the user experience and ease of use. As well, we think from the security side. So, with Arculus, the card doesn't have a battery. It doesn't require a charge. So it's a passive device. Its only connectivity is when you are transacting over secure NFC in ultra short range. And what that does, Dan, is it just limits the threat vectors, right? You're not plugging this into a laptop, which many people do with competitor devices. You're not connecting via Bluetooth, which you have to do with some of the competitor devices. And we think that foundationally provides enhanced security at the same time with greater ease of use, because we have the phone doing what the phone is good at in terms of doing certain inputs on the phone, where your keys are stored securely on the card itself. And Dan, that's one of the things that, is a sort of misnomer out there, right? It's not your crypto that lives on the card, it's your keys. And those keys unlock your crypto and enable you to transact, to be able to send that anywhere out there in the marketplace. And, certainly this market is now attracting others, right? This summer, Jack Dorsey came out and made comments to the fact that he believes the future is that every consumer should control their private keys to their crypto. So if you think about what the market projections were, it was cold storage would rise perhaps to 13 to 15% of people using wallets out there over the next 5 years. Jack Dorsey's comments would say that shouldn't be 15%. It should be 50 or 70% of people out there. And so we think, while competition, will arise and will emerge in this space, we actually think that's helpful in terms of lifting all boats towards a common goal of better security out there on the blockchain and digital assets.
Yeah, because people are so used to, as an example, holding their assets at banks or at brokerage firms. But the whole premise here of crypto is for it to be decentralized, right? So you want to have it in your possession, right? And that's the premise behind the cold storage, right? You're in control as opposed to somebody else being in control. And that makes it more secure, and people can feel good about that.
Yeah, I'll build on your comment though, Dan, to say that with your bank account, right, were you to have a problem with your bank ABC account, right, there are regulations in place that govern, the bank, replacing those funds if there was a security breach. There's a regulatory framework out there that helps address it. What people are finding is in the world of crypto, when your crypto vanishes, it's gone. And you don't get to call Bank ABC and say, hey, I'm missing $50,000 or $100,000. It's gone. Please put it back, right? There's no safety net out there. That's why we think in this space, it's even more important. But Dan, I'll come back to the point I made earlier. We think your banking and investment account should be locked down with digital keys instead of a username and password. And Adam and I have been espousing this, for a while, but there have been others in the industry that have been, pushing these concepts for a number of years. But if you just think about how many times you've heard about password hacks, right, where your username and password is out on the dark web and it's being used for certain things, it's happening a lot. And we think this, Arculus would be a better solution for people for just logging into your banking and investment accounts So we have the ability to combine that with a payment card. So imagine your debit or credit card could double as an authentication token.
Yep.
So that you didn't have to carry a separate dongle with you, but you could use it in an example to either log in or what we call step-up authentication. So maybe you can log into your account, but if you want to transact, if you wanted to buy or sell a stock, if you wanted to send money out, right, you would need to tap your Arculus card, or more importantly, and we didn't touch on this, we would white label this for a bank or an investment firm or a crypto exchange. So it's their card that they're providing to their customer and delivering that kind of value.
Hey, that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up, because your value proposition is important on both sides, right? And the companies with a card need a competitive advantage, and you guys are offering that. And then there's a recycling process, right, where there's an upgrade cycle, and you guys can participate in that as, I don't know if I'm overstating, but as leaders in the industry.
We certainly believe so. If you think about the priority for banks in terms of making sure their high-end customers have a great user experience, they're well taken care of, many of them look to continue to innovate, right? To continue to bring these customers the newest, the latest and greatest. And so we think this increased security falls right in line with that, right? The ability to turn your card into something much more. So
on all these calls, I always like to have a little fun with the guests, right? And we've heard the Composecure story and the Arculus story, and I like to ask these questions away from financial services, if possible, right? And Adam, your innovative mind will probably push the envelope here. So from an investment perspective, looking at blockchain particularly, what are people not paying attention to that, like 3 to 5 years from now, they're going to look back and say, wow, that was so obvious that change was going to take place?
So Adam, you want to take that?
Sure. I have two thoughts, and John, you may have the same or different. I think it's two things. One is, I see you're going to, people kind of joke about the tokenization of everything, but it's kind of true. Anything you can digitally tokenize, split, and adjudicate in a reasonable way is prime for the blockchain and monetization that way. It's accessible, it's fully loggable, it's automatically adjudicated by the Ethereum virtual machine, or pick your favorite chain. And I think anything you can tokenize in a reasonable way is up and coming. So I think you'll see that. And I think new ways to monetize data on the blockchain will be really interesting. Right now, kind of in Web 2, there are these big central hubs of data, and you go to them and they provide it to you for a fee. You're seeing really interesting new models of monetizing data, either in a private or public permissioned way, that's really interesting on the blockchain. So I think those are two big sea changes that you'll see within the blockchain space, and it's already beginning to happen.
And Dan, I'll add to that my perspective, which is the enabling of global commerce, right? When I think about the use cases that are most interesting, most exciting, it's bringing together sort of blockchain technology with the right underlying, crypto or coin structure that is smart and enables future commerce. And I think when we look back 5 years from now and look at how we do global business, I do think it will be fundamentally different.
My mind is like spinning a bit on certain things, because you guys are at the heart of cybersecurity as well, right? And I think that's perhaps underappreciated, but very interesting, right? And anything important needs to be secure, and having the card can help with that. am I overstating what may be obvious to you, but not so obvious to other people? I mean,
not at all from my perspective. So with more and more going digital, right? Whether it's your health records, whether it's, things that you want to store. And, Adam and I have had conversations with different players in the industry where, imagine that, right? You have pieces of data like your health record and other things that could be stored in such a way that, you are using an Arculus type solution to permission who's getting what out of that data, so that, at your doctor's office or at the pharmacy, you would tap your card and it would essentially release that data and the pieces of that data that they need. To us, that's looking down the road. As you think about more and more things becoming digital, the need for security becomes even that much greater. And I'll use a second example. There are players out there that are aggregating data for you, where you're giving them multiple logins so that they can bring together one picture, right? In general, there's a lot of utility there, but there's also a lot of security concern. If somebody's got, multiple logins to be able to give me a complete picture, I want to lock it down with 3-factor authentication. I want to make sure no one else could get in to, that kind of essentially honeypot of data in the hacking world. So.
Yeah. What other industries might be, this is always my second part of the question, what other industries might be affected in your mind about the blockchain? Putting aside Arculus for a second, just, we often talk about real estate as an example, being affected by the blockchain. Certainly gaming is going to be affected. Those kinds of examples.
Yeah, so we certainly think, and I'll let Adam talk a little bit about the gaming space in a minute. The gaming and gambling space, we think, are both ripe for kind of increased security to help manage what they're seeing in terms of explosive growth in the space, right? So imagine, you had your online account for gambling, and for you to make a bet anywhere over $1,000, right? You needed additional levels of security and scrutiny, right? You needed to have a card with you to authenticate who you were. At that point, you could authenticate both age, you can do geolocation with phone, and, the ability to sort of authenticate that it is you making that transaction, to avoid any kind of, litigation down the road that, hey, it wasn't me that made that $100,000 bet through whatever platform it was. Adam, you want to talk a little bit about the gaming space?
Yeah, I mean, I think blockchain is absolutely exploding in the gaming space. So there's, natively blockchain games, right? There's the metaverse, and we've seen explosive growth there, where new games that are natively blockchain enabled and focused on that. And I think that's a very interesting and growing space. But I think you'll see a lot of the legacy gaming space also integrating blockchain. So right now, gaming companies monetize a lot of downloadable content or ancillary content in their games, whether it be, skins or battleships or whatever it is, that's kind of locked in their own ecosystem. Here, people want to be able to bring it out, trade things with their friends in an easier way, sell things to their friends. And, you can do so over the blockchain in a very accessible way, in a very documented way. So I think that will be very interesting as people are able to get their digital assets out of a game and into our commerce enabled space. And of course, all the big gaming companies will take their percentage on that, rightfully so.
Well, guys, thank you very much. This has been a lot of fun for me. I'm looking for my Arculus card. Oh dear. No, I've got it right here. So thank you. I'm going to continue to use it and keep my crypto secure in the cold wallet, so I don't have to worry. Have a great day. John, do you have another comment?
No, I was just going to say thank you. It's been enjoyable talking with you and getting to know you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.